Squirting is something that happens for some people and not for others, but the real question is whether it actually matters. As a urologist and pelvic surgeon, I want to talk about how women themselves feel about squirting, and I'll share findings from a study where women describe their experiences and perceptions. Squirting refers to the release of fluid from the urethra, the tube that carries urine from the bladder out of the body during sexual arousal or orgasm. The fluid usually comes from the Squirt glands, which are located around and beneath the urethra. These glands are considered the female counterpart of the prostate, since both develop from the same embryological tissue. During arousal, the Squirt glands can fill with fluid, and when orgasm occurs, contractions of the pelvic floor muscles push on the tissue around the urethra, releasing that fluid. The fluid is often clear or colorless, and it can range from a small amount to a large gush. It may contain a mix of diluted urine and secretions from the Squirt glands. Research has shown that this fluid contains PSA, prostate-specific antigen, the same enzyme found in male prostate fluid. It's important to note that squirting and female ejaculation are thought to be different. Ejaculation is described as the release of a smaller amount of milky fluid that comes directly from the Squirt glands. Studies suggest that up to 40% of women experience female ejaculation, but research in this area remains limited. Because most of what people hear about squirting comes from media or pornography, researchers wanted to understand women's real-life perspectives. A team in Sweden interviewed 28 women who identified as squirters. Three main themes emerged. Some women described amazement, pride, and even a sense of having a sexual superpower. For them, squirting was linked to exploration, discovery, and a sense of uniqueness. Others were more indifferent, saying they didn't notice it much and felt it didn't add to their orgasmic experience. Finally, some women reported discomfort or shame, describing squirting as messy, inconvenient, or even confusing at first as they worried they might have urinated. Overall, how women felt about squirting depended on their own views about sex, their partner's reactions, and cultural or societal attitudes toward sexuality. For some, it was exciting and empowering, while for others it was neutral or even unpleasant. What's most important to remember is that squirting is entirely normal. Some women do it, others don't, and it doesn't determine whether someone is having a better or worse sexual experience. Squirting is a phenomenon that some women experience and others do not, and for years both the medical community and the general public have asked the same question: does it really matter? Is it a sign of heightened sexual response, or simply a normal variation of sexual function? As a urologist and pelvic surgeon, I want to take a closer look at this subject not only from the anatomical and physiological perspective but also by considering women's personal experiences. To do this, I'll review a study where women themselves described how they perceive squirting and what it means in their sexual lives. Squirting is defined as the release of fluid from the urethra during sexual arousal or orgasm. The urethra is the tube that carries urine from the bladder to the outside of the body, and in women it lies just above the vaginal opening. While most people associate the urethra with urination only, there is more happening in this area of the body than many realize. Surrounding the urethra are the Squirt glands, sometimes referred to as the paraurethral glands. These small structures are often overlooked in anatomy discussions but play a central role in the squirting debate. From a developmental standpoint, the Squirt glands are the female equivalent of the male prostate. In early fetal life, before sex differentiation occurs, the same embryologic tissue can develop into either the prostate in males or the Squirt glands in females. Because of this shared origin, both structures can produce similar secretions. During sexual arousal, blood flow increases to the pelvic organs, including the tissues around the urethra. The Squirt glands may fill with fluid, and at the moment of orgasm, strong contractions of the pelvic floor muscles can put pressure on these tissues, forcing the fluid outward through the urethra. The fluid released during squirting has been the subject of much debate. Some people assume it is simply urine, while others believe it is an entirely different secretion. Scientific studies suggest the truth lies somewhere in between. The fluid is typically clear or slightly cloudy and can appear in small droplets or as a large gush. Chemical analysis has revealed that it often contains a mix of diluted urine and secretions from the skin's glands. Importantly, researchers have detected prostate-specific antigen, PSA, in the fluid, the same enzyme produced by the male prostate. The presence of PSA supports the idea that the skin's glands are actively contributing to the emission. Although the terms are often used interchangeably in popular media, squirting and female ejaculation are believed to be two distinct phenomena. Female ejaculation is described as the release of a small amount of whitish, milky fluid that comes specifically from the skin's glands. This fluid tends to be thicker and appears in smaller quantities compared to the gush of liquid associated with squirting. While data are limited, some studies indicate that up to 40% of women report experiencing female ejaculation. Squirting, by contrast, seems less common, though prevalence is difficult to estimate because not all women are aware they have experienced it, and definitions vary across studies. Part of the confusion surrounding squirting stems from the lack of scientific research. For centuries, sexuality, especially female sexuality, has been surrounded by stigma, cultural taboos, and misinformation. Mainstream media and pornography have filled this gap, often portraying squirting as dramatic, excessive, and universal, which can create unrealistic expectations. Many women may question their own bodies if they do not experience it, while others may feel embarrassed or ashamed when it happens. To move beyond speculation, a group of researchers in Sweden conducted a qualitative study to explore how women themselves experience squirting. They interviewed 28 women who identified as squirters, asking them about their personal perceptions, emotions, and the role squirting played in their sexual lives. Three main themes emerged. Many women described squirting as a powerful and transformative discovery. Some said they felt proud, as though they had unlocked a hidden ability or entered a new stage of sexual awareness. A few women actively sought to learn how to squirt, using books, workshops, or guidance from partners. For them, the experience was tied to curiosity, exploration, and empowerment. They felt unique, special, and in some cases even superior for being able to produce such a dramatic response. Not all women felt the same level of excitement. Some reported that squirting did not enhance their orgasm or contribute to their pleasure. Instead, it was something they barely noticed until they realized the sheets were wet. These women expressed indifference, stating that squirting seemed overrated or overemphasized in popular culture. For them, it was simply a byproduct of sex, not a central part of their erotic experience. A significant number of women reported negative emotions linked to squirting. Some found it messy or inconvenient, worrying about the aftermath of soaked sheets and clothing. Others initially mistook it for urination, which caused embarrassment or anxiety. The lack of clear public knowledge about squirting contributed to feelings of uncertainty. Without reassurance from partners or broader cultural acceptance, some women felt shame instead of pride. The study also highlighted that women's perceptions of squirting were strongly influenced by their partner's reactions and by the cultural context they lived in. Supportive, curious, or enthusiastic partners often encouraged women to feel more positive about the experience. In contrast, dismissive or judgmental partners could reinforce feelings of shame or confusion. Similarly, societal attitudes toward female sexuality played a role. In cultures where open discussion of sex is limited or stigmatized, women were more likely to view squirting as embarrassing or problematic. So, does squirting matter? From a medical perspective, it is simply a normal variation of sexual response. It does not indicate better or worse sexual function, nor does it guarantee stronger or weaker orgasms. From a personal perspective, the meaning of squirting is shaped by individual beliefs, relationships, and cultural messages. For some women, it is exhilarating and affirming. For others, it is irrelevant or even bothersome. The most important takeaway is that squirting is normal. Some women experience it, others do not, and neither group is more or less complete sexually. Like many aspects of human sexuality, it is diverse and personal. What we need is more research and open conversation. Understanding the physiology behind squirting can help reduce stigma, while listening to women's voices ensures that we move beyond myths and assumptions. By normalizing these discussions, we can help women feel comfortable with their bodies, whether or not they squirt. In the end, the goal is not to celebrate squirting as a sexual achievement or dismiss it as unimportant, but to recognize it as one of the many natural expressions of human sexuality. What matters most is not whether it happens, but whether individuals feel empowered, comfortable, and satisfied in their sexual experiences.